Well, Jack, one thing I've noticed, and I think you've noticed it as well, is that people that are former business owners make good city leaders. And primarily, I think the reason is they have a sense of urgency. To own your own business, there's no foot dragging. You have to have a sense of urgency, like we've talked about many times before. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. In my case, it's always an urgent thing when you have to fill a pothole. So I've got a lot of experience in
That's
pothole
right.
filling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jack and Terry Show. Our special guest tonight is Pam Ogden, co founder of the Radcliffe Small Business Alliance, owner of Alliance Printing, and mayor of historic Vine Grove, Kentucky. Pam, it's good to see you.
Hi, guys. Good to see you too.
And of course, my co host, Jack Connicky, the granddaddy of all small businesses, is here with us. Jack, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Terry. Good to see you, Miss Mary.
When someone
That's
calls
true.
and says they have a pothole, they don't want it filled 2 months from now. They want it filled right now.
That's
That's
right.
what I found. Mayor, it's good to be here. It's good to see you here. Thanks for coming on. You've done a lot of tremendous work over there in Vine Grove. We've been watching it in the news enterprise, hearing a lot about you. And I know you
Thank you.
got all your training from the Small Business Alliance leadership. No, just kidding. I know you picked up some skills somewhere else too along the line. One of the things that impresses me is this project you're working on, turning the Optimist RV Park into more of a public setting as possibly a way to generate new revenue. Tell us a little bit about that.
We are still in the process of that. We do have quite a few spots in our Optimus Park that we haven't used in many years that can be rented out. And I think my intention is it's hard to find money to improve your parks. I mean, you have money for everything else, roads, all this other stuff, your buildings, all this stuff, and you don't have a lot of money for like parks. So I think the revenue that we get from the RV park will go to improve our Optimus Park. We're working on the splash pad right now with Rachel. We did the playground with Rachel. So I think it's going to be, we have the creek down there. We have the safest city in the state of Kentucky. So, I mean, why
Mhm.
would you not want to come to Vine Grove and have an RV park? So,
Absolutely.
um,
Makes sense.
yeah. So I think it's a great stream of revenue to improve our parks.
Jack and I were talking about this not long ago. There's all that construction over in Brandenburg for that new steel mill. There's a lot of need for temporary housing. I think you'll probably wind up renting out those spaces for a couple of years at a time because they're going to need temporary housing, these construction folks coming in.
We
Another
have
thing
one
I've
guy
seen,
from Nucor right now, not to interrupt you,
yeah,
but we have a Nucor guy in there right now. So
yeah,
we have one,
absolutely.
but we only, we haven't really advertised it.
But I think you'd have more eventually.
Right.
Police department's another interesting thing that I've seen you take take an interest in. I know
Uh-huh.
you guys bought a new building. You've managed to move the police department, and you've also improved a lot of things with the police department. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
So I actually didn't, my term, I didn't buy that building. The Don's Liver building was bought before me. It was even bought before I got into council. So that building had Public Works in the back of it, and they had done a lot of remodeling on it already. It was down the street from City Hall. So when I came in, I started witnessing, and a lot of people don't know this, I started witnessing how our police officers were going in and out of the building, their safety factors. There was no safety factors at City Hall when the police were going in and out of the building. You could even see that it was actually a police department. There was really no signage there. Um, you know, they just walked in the parking lot. They went in a door. A lot of our police officers worked alone. So that part of it bothered me. Plus, we didn't have very many police officers. There was times when I came in, we didn't have any coverage. So one of my promises when I was running was I was going to revamp the police department. I didn't feel like it was where it needed to be, even though Vine Grove, the police officers that we had were amazing. I just don't feel like we had enough of them,
Yeah.
and we had enough coverage for each person. Because a lot of times police officers don't want to go to a call alone. They don't need to
Oh,
go to a call alone
Yeah.
because it's not safe. So when I started looking at how they were going in and out of the building stuff, I started looking at our Don's Lumber building, and the front end of it was empty. So at that point, I was like, why don't we just move the police down there? I think that had been thrown around under Mayor Profits. I think that had been
mhm.
thrown around, but he decided no. So when I got down there and looked at it, we We revamped it. We got them in there. It's a lot safer. It's an amazing spot. I think the citizens are grateful for it because they have a place to go and they have a question. They know where the police department's at right now. As soon as you come into the city, it's right there. Our police
Yep.
officers are safe. They have a sally port to go into, and then they can go in. And then with the times that we live in right now, I think their safety is a huge factor. So I'm happy with how everything has worked for them. We got
Yeah.
into a little bit more of a construction than I wanted to get into, but that building was in bad shape. So
Mhm.
that building will last them a long time now.
Mhm.
And, you know, it just needed more than what I thought it needed it, but we got there, and I wanted them in last October. They ended up getting in April, May
Yeah.
this year. It just took longer than what we thought, but they're there now. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that.
I think it was a good move, and I know well, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. A lot of things have to do with a sense of urgency. There are many
Right.
things we can do, but we got to pull the trigger. Jack, did you have anything you wanted to add or ask the mayor?
Not
I
really.
didn't mean to catch you off guard there.
Well,
Sorry about that.
I had one question about the RV park.
Okay.
You know, one of the things, if you're an RV owner, sometimes it becomes unpopular to park your RV in your uh, subdivision, or in other words, you just don't have a place to store it. You might want to give some thought to those places that don't have electricity and that sort of thing, just as a place where people could park their RV, rent it, and park their RV, and wouldn't have to leave it at their home.
That's an
Well,
idea right
and I
there.
could do that, but it's not covered. That area is not covered. So you would be leaving it in an uncovered area.
Mhm.
I mean, that's still a possibility. We could do that down the line.
Yep.
But I mean, and thanks, Jack. That is a great thought. I don't know if people would want to park it in an uncovered area.
When
Mhm.
you say uncovered, what
I
are
mean,
you
there's
talking about?
no like carport or anything over covering it at
Well,
all.
but
It'd just be parked,
they're probably doing the same thing at home.
probably.
Yeah.
And it does take a lot of space up in the parking in their driveway. So I get
Yeah.
that, and that's a great thought. We might move in that direction also.
Let's talk about water meters, Mayor.
Okay.
I noticed that you guys started an initiative, and I think it may have been started before you got there, but I know you've pushed it along. The importance of replacing the water meters so that you can do remote monitoring. You have a lot less manpower involved. You have a lot
Mhm.
more accuracy. You probably have
Right.
an ability to detect leaks, various other things. A lot of times people don't think about little infrastructure projects like that, but that's a big deal. Tell us a little bit about the status of that project.
That is a big deal. We are actually down to our last 300 or 400 meters that we've got to do, and those meters are in our oldest part of the city that are going to take a lot more time to put in. So we're actually on the very end of it, but it's already saved. I think the last meters that we had to do, I think they told me it took them 2 days to read it, which it was taking 7 days with all of
Mhm.
our guys in public works. And we only have 5 or 6 in public works, so all our guys in public works was taking like 7 days to read these meters, which is crazy to me. You know, when you own your own business, you have to think of time versus money. I mean, to me, you're paying all these guys all this money, and they're just spending that means no water leaks. That means no mowing. That means no potholes filled. They're
Yep.
focused on reading these meters. So, and I think maybe it had been touched on before I got into office, but I think a few years ago they did a meter project and it didn't work out very well. So it was kind of a bad, thought process. So we got in. We have an amazing engineer that we contract with, and between him and I and my public works director Chris Mayhew, we all got together and we all started working on this project, and we figured out what company we should go with. We went with the company that was used by another water district around here, so we knew that they were good and trustworthy, because that seems to be the worst thing, to get in with a company that won't stand behind their product.
Yep.
So now it's just the digital. We couldn't afford the high tech digital. So when you drive down the road, it all digitally goes into the space. But
Mhm.
it's made a huge difference in how we handle everything. You can look at it and tell hour by hour when your water leak started, if you had a water leak,
Mhm.
so and it could help you figure out how you got that water leak.
Sure.
So we're still fairly new in it, but it's huge for Vine growth. They've been reading meters. I couldn't even tell you how many years they've been reading meters. So it is like I said, to me, it's an effective quality. You know, we can focus more on the city now that we're not out there reading
Sure.
meters.
Yeah, you just found a way to do something that has to be done
Right.
more efficiently. Well,
Right.
before we give you the last word, let me just say this. Really appreciate all your hard work over there, Pam, in Vine Grove. I know you get a lot of criticism because you're moving fast. That does
Right.
happen. You're moving fast, you're pulling the trigger. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen, I think, in every city. It's
Everyone.
better to move fast and make a mistake and go back than to never do anything and then have everybody complaining about the way things are going. Jack and I have
Right.
talked about that many times, and I know you feel the same way. Am I
Right.
right, Jack?
Yes, absolutely.
So I know you have a big announcement of what's going on, and you've already announced it somewhere else, so we're kind of second fiddle here. But give us that announcement about what's going on in Vine Grove in the month of October. And thanks a lot for coming on here today, Pam.
Oh, no problem. Before I do the announcement, I just wanted to say that when I went into the mayor's position, I had a list of things that I wanted to accomplish in 4 years. Because there's no guarantee I'm going to rerun. There's no guarantee I get reelected. So I knew what I wanted to do in 4 years, and this COVID thing has kind of slowed me down the last few months. So,
Sure.
and I know everybody thinks I'm going quickly, but I knew when going in where I was going and what order I
Right.
was going to do it in. So I know people think that I'm jumping into things quickly, but I have spent probably a couple years already thinking about it before I do it, even though I
Yeah.
wasn't in this position. So with that being said, with COVID and everything else that's gone on this year, we normally do a Halloween trunk or treat downtown. We are not going to be able to do that this year just because of the liability of we don't want to take a chance of somebody getting sick. We don't want our city workers getting sick. We don't want our citizens. We don't even want anyone to get sick. So we've kind of revamped this and we got out of the box a little bit, and we are going to do a Halloween parade. And we are going to do it on the 29th of October, which is a Thursday, from 5:30 to 8. We're going to start on one end of Vine Grove, and we're going to go to the other end. We want everybody to dress up. We want everybody to go to the side of the road. We'll have the police, we'll have the fire, we'll have city workers there. Some will be dressed up, some won't. We'll be throwing candy out to these kids. We're going to try to get some businesses to join us, but it is going to be a lot of candy if they do decide to join us. So, I've reached out to a few people. I'm waiting to hear back. But if nothing else, you'll have the police, the fire, public works, and the city just handing candy out. It's going to be a way, if a parent doesn't want to go door to door, then they can still have their kids dressed up and celebrate. So, and then the 31st, which is a Saturday, Halloween day, we're still going to allow them to trick or treat. That's going to be their choice if they want to go or not. If they want to participate, they can. That's not a city event. That's just a city allowing them to do that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And we're also doing Scare the Mayor Award. And what that's going to be, I'm going to pick a couple houses in the city that I feel like went over and above and decorated for Halloween, and they look really cool. So the first place will get an award, and second place will get an award. So I'm pretty excited, and they'll get a trophy that they can keep. They can
Good
show their
stuff.
neighbors, and then if there's first place, to also get a $50 gift card. So that gives them incentive to decorate too. Everybody's home now. Let's just make the city look cool. The city will
Great.
we're going to do some decorating, and then we'll wait for them to do some too. So I'm pretty excited about it.
That sounds great. Let me see if I can get the granddaddy of all small businesses, the right Bentley, to
Join
ride
us.
in as he goes through there.
Oh,
All
there you
right,
go, Jack.
folks. Everyone,
Yeah, there it is.
that was Pam Ogden, co-founder of Radcliffe Small Business Alliance, owner of Alliance Printing, and mayor of historic Vine Grove, Kentucky. Pam, thanks a million for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you,
Jack,
Pam.
see you soon.
Bye.
See
All
you.
right, bye guys.
Thank you, Terry.
Bye.